If you have low density or thin curly hair like mine, then you likely struggle with achieving volume at the root and overall fullness. Well, in this video, I'm gonna walk you through step by step how to style your low density hair for more volume and fullness. And I'm also including some tips and tricks and hacks that I know for achieving more volume at the root and getting more definition at the root while also covering your scalp. So if you struggle with your scalp showing and just overall flat roots, then you'll definitely want to stay tuned for this routine. If you are new to my channel, welcome. My name is Gina and here we make videos all about naturally curly hair. I love doing simplified step-by-step tutorials, talking about the science of hair and really helping you problem solve so that way everyone can achieve healthier curls. And if you're a returning viewer, thank you so much for coming back to my channel. I'm also teaming up with Curlsmith for this video because they just released their brand new full body thickening lotion. This is a new product as part of their scalp recipe. It's designed to be just added into your routine to create more volume and fullness. It's also supposed to help provide volume for 24 hours, so it's supposed to give you long-lasting volume instead of just volume on wash day that then falls. But no worries if you don't have this product or if you don't have the products that I used in this video, you can still follow along and achieve more volume and fullness by using all the tips and tricks that I mentioned in this video. So step number one is to ensure that your hair is free of buildup and clean. If you have buildup on your hair, whether if it's from product buildup, hard water buildup, or just natural sebum on your scalp, it can really weigh down your roots and cause your hair to not have as much volume. I highly recommend the Curlsmith Detox Kit. It comes with a primer, it comes with the clarifying shampoo, and also a conditioner. This is great at removing product buildup. I usually use this about every other week, just depending on how often you wash your hair. It's not too harsh on the hair, especially if you use that primer step first. I also really like the calming conditioner that it comes with because this conditioner you can actually use at your roots and it won't weigh down your roots. It's actually designed to be used at the scalp and it's not going to cause your roots to look very heavy, and you still need to be moisturizing the hair at the root. That can lead to root frizz and dryness if you're not ever moisturizing it, if you're just always avoiding the roots. So I definitely recommend using something like this conditioner all the way up to the scalp and just make sure you fully rinse it out. I even like to kind of scrub my scalp a little bit when I'm rinsing out my conditioner and just make sure you're fully getting that rinsed out, no matter if you're using a deep conditioner or a conditioner, whatever it might be. Make sure you're fully getting that conditioner rinsed off of your scalp and off of your roots of your hair. So now I'm ready to apply my styling products. I actually prefer to apply my products on hair that is a little bit more damp versus soaking wet. I know most people usually recommend to apply your products on dripping, soaking wet hair, but I just find that it dilutes the products more. And because I have low density hair, that really can weigh down the hair with the weight of that water, and I don't end up with much hold either because the products get so diluted. If you try using a little bit less water when you're styling, you might notice that you get more fullness and volume, but we don't want our curls to look stringy either. It needs to still have enough water. That's why I like to wrap my hair first in my hair towel just to blot the excess water at the root, and then I will just spritz the links with water like this. So I also prefer to apply my products in the upright position. I highly recommend trying that if you're not already, if you do have low density hair, because if you're styling upside down, you might end up with your scalp showing more. You might not be able to really get the crown area that might need some more attention. So highly recommend trying out upright styling. We're still going to implement some techniques to get more volume. So I will still show you how to get volume even in the upright position. And then you don't have to stay bent over all the time ending up with a neck or a backache. So step number two is to apply a leave-in conditioner. I'm using the Curlsmith Weightless Air Dry Cream. This is a very lightweight leave-in conditioner, but it kind of also acts like a styling cream. This is classified as a leave-in conditioner, but I definitely noticed it has a few like styling properties in it. I do notice it helps with just giving me some more curls and helping my curls clump together better. So I personally think it's kind of more like a styling cream. I love how lightweight it is. And it actually contains hyaluronic acid, which is very moisturizing and hydrating. It actually helps pull that water into your hair to get your hair moisturized. This is one of the most lightweight creams or leave-ins that I've tried that's still very moisturizing. So if you have very dry hair, but you don't want something heavy that's like full of butters and oils, this is definitely a good option because it's still super moisturizing. And I like to focus it mainly on the ends. Like I first apply it to the areas that are very dry first, and then I just work my way up to the top section, just again to make sure that area is moisturized and this is not gonna weigh down the roots or anything. I'm also gonna go in with a little bit of heat protectant. This is the Curlsmith Miracle Shield. I just apply this to my ends because I am going to be diffusing today and I don't want to get any split ends. So now I'm going to go in with the brand new Curlsmith Full Body Thickening Lotion. This is a volumizing lotion for added definition and also to help with fullness. So it has a pump to it, which is really nice. So I'm just going to pump a few pumps into my palm. You can see the consistency there. It's like a liquidy lotion, feels super moisturizing. It has the same scent as the rest of the Scalp recipe too. And so you're supposed to apply this as the second step of your routine. So you would apply your leave-in conditioner first or your curl cream and then go in with this and then the gel afterwards. I'm also going to take this up to the root area just to make sure that it's going to help with the volume up there at the root. So before I go in with my gel, I'm going to section off my hair. I don't want to do too many sections because I noticed that if I section off my hair too much and just do like too precise of styling, it can reduce my volume overall because I get just a ton of definition, so I want to maintain some fullness. Now the Full Body Thickening Lotion does provide a level 2 hold, which Curlsmith says is an invisible hold. It does have an ingredient in here which does give a film on the hair, so it can give your hair just a tiny bit of hold. So you could try it by itself if you don't like a lot of gel or if you don't like strong holds, but I definitely recommend layering a gel if you want your curls to last even longer and not get any frizz. So I'm going to be using the Hydro Style Flexi Jelly, which is their styling gel that's a level 7 hold. It says weightless hold, and this is a very lightweight gel. This is not going to weigh down your hair. It's a medium hold, and it gives you great definition too. This also has that hyaluronic acid in it. It has PVP in it, which is a holding ingredient, so that's great. It also has green tea, lavender extract, and again, it just has the same smell as the rest of the Scalp recipe. So I usually use about that much on my lower section. You can see the consistency of this. It's a thinner gel too. A lot of you also ask me, how do you know how much product to use? Especially if you do have thin hair, you might be worried you're applying too much, but I usually go with the feeling. Like I just had to add a little bit more once I got to this side because I didn't have anything left in my hands. Like my hair fully soaked up all of that product that I just showed you on this side. And I like to make sure that I apply it pretty evenly. So I do make sure to coat every hair with gel. I also take it all the way up to the root because I have a lot of root frizz just from new growth. So this helps to make sure that my roots aren't super frizzy. I also find that applying it to damp hair versus soaking wet, you need less product because you're not just wasting that product by diluting it or rinsing it out with water as you're applying it. So I'm going to be using a brush like the Denman brush to style. But I don't want to brush coil like all of the hair on the bottom layer. This is one of my best tricks for achieving more fullness, is to leave the bottom layer just more separated. It's going to look fuller, especially if you look at it like from the back. That canopy or that lower level of your hair is going to look a lot fuller if it's not as clumped together. So if you still want to use the brush to define some ringlets, definitely do so, and then just either use your fingers or take a wide tooth comb and just separate them. And then once you scrunch, the curls are going to come back, so you will still get definition. If your hair is looking super stringy, then you need to add more water or more product, but I would start with adding a little bit more water with your spray bottle first, and then going in with some more product to help it clump together. But I'm going to style the rest just a little bit more separated and not as perfect, like not as defined, that way it's more full. And you probably will need to add some more water as you go. If you start to see your hair drying, you want to just make sure it stays evenly wet. So now for the crown area. This is something that I really struggle with, and I know a lot of you do as well, where you might have a cowlick or your scalp tends to show around the crown, especially if you have low density hair. So I recommend using a brush, but you could also use your fingers if you don't have one, or a comb or anything you have, and just pick up that crown area. So you just want to take like flat horizontal section or a circular section. So just pick that up with your fingers like this. I'm going around where my part is naturally separating right there. So I want to grab the hair all around it and then just pick it up like this. So now we've got our section, and I'm going to brush it straight up. So to create that root lift, we need the hair at the root to be lifted. We don't want the hair stuck to the head and pointing downwards. We want it to be lifted straight up like this. So I'm brushing it from the underside layer up. You can also place the brush right at the root and then turn it so the hair wraps around this edge right here and then go straight up. And once you have a little bit of tension, that's when you're really going to get that definition. So I also recommend using a handheld mirror like this and then use that to look in your mirror. So I'm standing in front of my bathroom mirror. I have the handheld so then I can see the back of my head. And I just kind of go like this to make sure that it's covered up. You just want to kind of scrunch right at the root to make sure that area gets covered. And don't worry about if it's not perfect, because usually once your hair is dry, it will look fuller and it will cover a lot better. And you can also kind of just shake it out with your fingers once your hair is dry too. But definitely this helps when your hair is wet to make sure the hair is properly placed in the back to cover the scalp. One other tip about the scalp is you want to make sure that it's not too clumped, because anytime you have a ton of separation and clumping going on at the root, it's going to expose your scalp more. So I'm going to just re-wet this top section. That weightless air dry cream helps your hair dry faster, so you probably have to add some more water as you're styling when you use that. So if you're in a hurry and you want to style all at once, I definitely recommend just placing your brush underneath your section, again going up and back, and you can kind of define all the curls at once and just let it fall where it wants to. This is also how you can avoid a part. But if you don't want it to be like falling in your face and everything, then you could do a little bit more precise styling. I like to do a little bit more precise, so I'm just gonna split this in two. And for this half of this section, I am going to just brush it all up and back at once. So again, if you place the brush right at the root and turn it, you wanna make sure you get that bend right there at the root. That's gonna help give you root volume. And see how much more root lift that gives. Now for the parting, I do like to part just the front section, and again, this just helps keep my hair out of my face because then it just falls to each side. So I'm just gonna do some more precise brush styling right here at the front just to give some face framing curls. So if you saw my previous video, I've been experimenting with some brush coiling, and that's just where you coil the hair around the handle of the brush. You can definitely still do those techniques if you have low density hair, but just keep in mind it could reduce volume when you're doing these more precise styling techniques that clump the curls. But what you can do is just pick up smaller sections like I just did. Like that curl is much smaller than what you would typically see with a lot of brush styling routines. Or you can just separate them once you're finished. That way it's more separated and not so clumped together. One thing that I have noticed with brush coiling is it really helps to give you more of a curl right at the root. So now that I'm done with my brush styling, I'm just going to slide my fingers in underneath and gently kind of shake the roots. I'm not like fluffing like I would once my hair is completely dry because I don't want to cause frizz, but I'm just going in and lifting the hair up off of the scalp to make sure it's not like stuck down with that gel. And this is also going to gently separate any of those clumps like I mentioned, because if you're getting too many curl clumps right at the root, your scalp can show. So I'm just gently lifting up with wet hands. You want to make sure that you're always touching your wet hair with wet hands so you don't cause frizz. So my next tip is to not plop your hair if you want to achieve more volume. Now I personally find that plopping or tying your hair up in a hair towel just presses the hair against the scalp, and that reduces the volume right at the root, and it pushes those products onto your scalp, and that can just cause your scalp to get weighed down if it has products on it. So I prefer to microplop instead. So I just take the wet side of my towel or whichever area doesn't look as dry, that way it doesn't absorb too much product, and I just give it a little bit of a scrunch. These products also help your hair dry faster, so I don't feel like I need to go around and do that. But if you do like to style more wet, you definitely need to scrunch out some of that water before you diffuse. You don't want to go and diffuse soaking wet hair. It'll just take forever, and that's more damaging for the hair. One other tip for more root curls is to lift your hair right at your root up with your fingers, and then use your towel to scrunch right at the root. So that way you're actually scrunching the root. You see how that gave me a nice bend right there? If you are already seeing that separation again at your scalp, just use a handheld mirror and take your brush and sort of wiggle it right there at the root. Or you can kind of just gently brush it down like that, and that's gonna help cover the scalp. Or you can even use your brush to kind of direct the hair over it. We want to be pulling the hair over top where it's exposed right there. But then after you do that, you want to make sure to go back in and scrunch right at the root to make sure that you get that root lift again, because you don't want to like be pulling it down too much. So step number 7 is to diffuse. I highly recommend diffusing if you're not already. If you want to get volume, it's really the best way to set those curls in a more voluminous and a more shrunken look, if that's what you're going for. If you want to shrink them up and if you want to get more volume, it just sets them in place like that, versus just air drying. You don't really have control over how they dry. They're going to be more elongated from just the weight of gravity and of the water in your hair. This is the Curlsmith Diffusion Diffuser. It has a huge diffuser bowl, which is super nice. So I'm gonna flip my head over to diffuse. It's gonna help so much with volume. You just wanna keep it moving though. And also make sure you are using the prongs to really lift the roots. You'll see as I'm diffusing, I like to stick those in at the root and really give it a lift and hold it. That's gonna help diffuse the roots and also get your hair dry a lot faster. So my hair is drying super fast with these products and with that diffuser. It's only been like 5 minutes and my hair is already getting to be probably like 85% dry, but I wanted to show you another technique for getting more root volume. I've been trying out these clips that I recently got. They're like a little claw clip, and you can just place those right here at your roots, like place them right along your part towards the end of your diffusing routine. So you can hover your diffuser over this, or you can even stick your diffuser prongs in here. Just be gentle since you have the clips in. Are y'all seeing this root lift right now? I normally do not have this much root lift, so I definitely think it's part of the products and also these root clips. So another thing you can do with these root clips is once your hair is completely dry but it's still warm, you can actually pop these back on and just let your hair finish setting in place. And I usually like to let my hair sit for like 5 to 10 minutes, 15 minutes. I usually go and like finish getting ready. And then once I feel my hair is like cooled off and it's finished setting, then I will take it down and fluff. So I'm gonna leave these in for now and I'll show you what it looks like when I'm finished. You can see the volume is staying, which is awesome. I definitely think that Curlsmith product helped. I can just tell that there is more fullness within the hair from using that lotion. So step number 8 and the last and final step is to scrunch out the gel cast, fluff the roots, and do any separating for larger curl clumps. So if you fluff the roots, you'll definitely notice more root lift. You just want to make sure your hair is completely dry before you do this. And also want to make sure that your hands are dry. You don't want to cause frizz by touching your dry hair with wet hands. Make sure both your hands and your hair are dry. And you just want to go up underneath like this and then gently shake. So I'm just like gently rubbing my scalp, and you can even kind of pull out a little bit, and that's just going to lift the hair up off the scalp. And then if you want to scrunch out the gel cast, that can also help give more volume, but I recommend keeping a lot of it in if you want your hair to last longer. So this gel gives just a little bit of a gel cast, not a whole lot, because it is just a medium hold. If you want a stronger hold gel, you can check out the Curlsmith Shine Gel or the Souffle. And if you need to separate any curl clumps, that can also give you a lot of fullness. So if you want to separate any, just look really closely at the curl clump and see where there's a natural separation, like maybe a little bit right there. And instead of just pulling it apart, you can also kind of unravel them too to reduce frizz. So overall, I was really pleased with my results, and I'm shocked at how much volume that I have. I recently did a similar routine, not using these products, where I just used the tips and the styling techniques that I discussed today, and I didn't achieve quite as much volume as I did today. So I know that this volume is definitely due to this product. One of the main things that I really like about this new thickening lotion is it doesn't create a texture on the hair. I really don't like when my hair feels very textured, especially in those coarse areas of my hair. I need those to still feel very soft, or else my hair just feels kind of brittle. So I really like that this still has that lightweight, moisturized feel to it without having that sticky texture that I don't love. I wanted to know what ingredient in this product is giving me all this volume, and when reading it, it says our unique formula is blended with a hyper balanced polymer that transform your hair fibers to create space between the strands while drying, diffuse or air drying, to give your hair instant volume for fuller looking hair. It also provides lightweight styling and conditioning properties to add weightless definition while leaving your hair feeling silky, soft, and smooth. That's interesting to hear about that specific polymer blend that helps to actually create space between the hair fibers. But I still have really good definition. Like, you would think that that would result in more like piecey, separated, or stringy curls, but I still feel like I have really good definition, and maybe that's from the brush coiling, but it still defined my curls while maintaining that fullness. And that's really hard to achieve, both volume and definition. So overall, I highly recommend this. If you do want to check it out, you can use my discount code. I have a 10% off code that is good for your first order from Curlsmith. I will link you to this down below, along with the other products that I mentioned as well. And if you still need some more tips for like scalp covering and just achieving more fullness overall, I definitely recommend checking out the video that I did on how to style low density curls, where I show lots of do's and don'ts, because there's lots of things that you might be doing in your routine that are contributing to your hair looking a lot thinner. So I will have that video linked here on the screen, and I will talk to you over there. Bye everyone.